It's a new MacBook Pro 16 coming at ya. Well, I mean, that's what we had to talk about today, obviously, because we've been talking about it in advance, and obviously it's shown up. It just popped right up, Will. Mm-hmm. We got a new MacBook Pro. It's not in our lives yet, but
you can order one.
Yeah, I'm gonna order one up.
Yeah,
I gotta check it out. Phil was talking to John. I'm sure John put in the word. Mm-hmm. John probably said, "Oh, you got to send. You forgot. You got to send one
more thing."
John got to hit him. Yeah. Shout out John TLD. Yeah. He had an interview with Phil Schiller. They're talking about the new MacBook Pro, insightful. You find out a little bit. I'm gonna order one up, obviously, and get to the bottom of it. Tap on those keys, Will, as you would, and as you should.
Yeah, they changed the keyboard.
Weirdly enough, that's the most exciting thing for me because it kind of drove me away from the brand in the first place.
Yeah.
It's funny enough, you notice this one over here on my desk switched back because I missed this keyboard. In fact, a bit of a keyboard guy.
Yes.
I'm going to have a laptop. I'm going to think about a keyboard. Mm-hmm. This new MacBook, they said, look, we got to move away from the butterfly thing. We tried. We did it. And everything I'm seeing so far is that, yes, as expected, it's a move back to the scissor mechanism. It's kind of a step back. Sometimes you got to step back to step forward, Will.
Mm. So I've heard.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to go backwards.
Oh, yeah. Just replay it.
Sometimes you need to know where you've been to figure out where you're going. Mm. Yeah,
Very wise in this episode.
I don't know what we're doing. No, it's not. This is a pretty simple one, in fact. It's just you had something that was working. Imagine where they could have been if they kept working on the old mechanism and trying to shrink it and improve it, and they'd be that much further ahead. But that's really important as a company, as a person, to look at something, be able to put it down and say, oh, okay, I tried that. Now, it didn't work out. No problem. Move to the next. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you double down. Sometimes it takes a while for you to figure out when to put it down. There's some pride involved and things like this. I'm saying for anybody, not just Apple. I'm saying for anybody. Mm-hmm. But it's often just as important what you're willing to put down as it is what you're trying to hold on to.
Very quotable.
No, I don't know. I'm not trying to. It's a retrospective.
I hear you.
They went backwards. This keyboard apparently is a lot like the keyboard on the old MacBooks from 2015 and before. I don't know if you had one of those, Will. But it was spongier. It was more typical to what was in the marketplace. It was a chiclet style keyboard, a similar form factor, but you had the scissor mechanism and it felt like it, sounded like it. Nobody really had an issue with it.
Yes.
But they wanted to go a step further. They wanted that crazy low profile to make a statement with the butterfly key switch. I remember the original keynote. You had Johnny Ive with the accent and the backdrop, and he's telling you about butterflies, and you can't help it. It seems interesting.
Yeah.
But they had to put it down now, so that's the most exciting thing for me. I got to try out this new keyboard. From what I understand at this moment, it's not as clickety-clackety, it's not as noisy as the one you're using right now, or any of the MacBooks laying around here that are post-2015. It's a little bit quieter, almost as quiet, in fact, as the new Chromebook, which, if you recall, that thing was almost silent. They actually paid attention to the volume level. So some people are going to appreciate that, people who work in a social atmosphere with other humans nearby. I know you don't care, Will. You just clickety-clack all the way.
Yeah.
Up and down.
I'm pretty sure I annoyed Jack here.
Oh, Jack is barely hanging on over there. He's grinding into the desk with the fingernails every time. It's the clicking and the clacking. Now, obviously, there's other improvements here. It's now a 16-inch MacBook Pro. It's not an extra MacBook Pro. The 15-inch goes to bed now for good. The 15-inch is gone. the
can't
model
buy
that
it.
you're using. It's just the 16-inch. People were speculating exactly what technologies we were going to see in here beyond the keyboard improvement or shift. Yeah, we have an improved screen-to-body ratio. The screen now extends out further towards the edges to give you a bigger screen in a similar footprint without extending the footprint too much because you shrunk the bezels as many people expected. I don't know if it's as aggressive as people expected it to be, but it's definitely an improvement. You can see so by looking for yourself. An interesting development. This one actually got a little thicker than the previous version. Apparently, Apple improved the cooling, but also the battery supposedly is improved, providing another hour of battery life. New battery tech is in there. And then also, presumably, changing the keyboard design would have added some degree of thickness potentially to the unit as a whole. And weight, the weight goes up. Now, you don't see Apple doing this frequently, Will, where they make a device heavier and thicker. They've done it now with the iPhone Pro model. Now they're doing it with the MacBook Pro model. Are they listening to professionals? Well, they still only kept Thunderbolt 3 ports in the form of USB Type-C connectors. So, I mean, they didn't listen to that part. We were begging for an HDMI or an SD card. I think people actually wanted the SD card probably more than anything else. So, but you can't say that they haven't listened a little bit in the sense that they made something thicker and heavier than the previous version in order to provide, for example, better battery life. And obviously a bigger display as well. So it's not an exact apples to apples comparison. The old version, they stated, was good for 10 hours of battery life. The new one, 11. Otherwise, you're looking at the same I/O with 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports on each of them. No diversity of ports available. The new one, you can spec it to some crazy configuration, Will. Up to $6,099 if you throw an 8 terabyte SSD into it, which is obviously bananas. I don't know. Maybe for the actually, you know what? I'm not going to say it. It's a surprise. I don't know which one I'm going to order, but it could be fun to check out the most advanced version Apple has ever made. Of course, the graphics now 5500M with 4 gigs of GDDR6 memory via AMD built-in collaboration. Oh, granted, you can step that up to 8 gigs of video RAM for an extra $100. There's other configurations available. Obviously, that's not the starting price, $6,099. In fact, some people speculated the starting price might be even more than what it ended up being. I think it's around $2,400 to start US, $2,399 exactly. And probably a lot of people would be fine with that model. It's still not a cheap laptop. Let's be honest here. You put the Pro designation. You take a peek at the materials. You never expected it to be cheap, did you? Not less than that. Not less than $2,000. And certainly not if you start speccing a custom version. RAM, you can take up to 64 gigabytes, which is actually an increase over the previous 32 as well. The display is still listed as 500 nits, and the pixel density didn't change that much. It went from 220 to 226. You did get a few extra pixels because of the display being extended now into the bezels and, of course, measuring 16 inches instead of 15.4. The speakers apparently received a major improvement as well. It's now a 6-speaker system. Something exciting there. They claim there's a force-canceling woofer in this unit. That's kind of like noise canceling, except it's woofer canceling. I know you're a big fan of that low end, Willie, do?
Oh, yeah.
Big fan of that. The thump that comes with it. Listen to a couple tracks on the old laptop speakers as you would. And anyhow, what can happen in some circumstances with laptops or when you have these thin and light packages and you try to cram audio components in there, particularly subwoofers, you get vibration. Vibration can be a consequence and an outcome. And so this force canceling woofer, it aims to offset those vibrations. So you don't get that buzz or rattle. You just get the thump that you're looking for. Well,
sounds great.
Yeah, you're looking on a Tuesday evening. The thump that you're looking for on a Tuesday evening.
Yes.
Is it Wednesday, by the way?
Yeah.
On a Wednesday evening. Tuesday, Wednesday, who's checking, who cares? The other thing they mentioned, the microphone. They love the microphone. And in John's video, he recorded it entirely on the onboard microphone. They say it's studio quality. Of course, studio, whose studio? My studio, your studio, Kanye's studio, Timbaland,
Yeah, they say that
Dre's studio.
You can record a podcast using these mics here.
What do we got all this
I
stuff?
know, what is
Really big
you know.
microphones, and we must be idiots. Obviously. No, I mean, look here. I believe that they've improved what you would from what you would typically get on a laptop. I believe that. How do you replace true studio hardware? Things get a little squirrely. You start taking your liberties with the pro terminology, and then you throw the word studio in. Dre did it with the Beats Studio. Not too many studios. They were using the Beats Studios. It was a consumer headphone. It's the kind of thing where an individual feels more pro
Yes.
and more studio. And those are great things. Everyone's,
Yeah, those specific keywords.
yeah.
You know.
You want, when it comes to audio, you want studio.
Yes.
When it comes to photography, you want pro. You see how this goes? Well,
Yes.
very aware. Anyway, it's going to come in silver, space grade. Also gets an upgraded charger up to 96 watts. That's coming from 87 watts USB Type-C on a previous version. I will order it up. I will unbox it on Unbox Therapy. I'll check it out. I'll compare the keyboard to everything I've been using recently because I've been into laptops. As I've explained, it's the Razer, it's the ThinkPad stuff. I'm checking things out. Of course, the Microsoft stuff, which is thinner and more ultra portable. This is a pro unit, so it'll actually compare. This model that you're speccing right now will compare kind of nicely to this ThinkPad. This is the X1 Extreme. It's not 16-inch. I believe it's 15 and a half. But of course, I've talked a lot about it. You can go watch the video if you want. It'll be a nice little comparison. And most importantly, I'll be checking out if they really fix the keyboard thing and how I feel about the new keyboard construction. Because I explained, I'm a keyboard guy. I'm into it. I gravitate towards the laptop when I want to tap the keys.